Okay, our guest is Charles Hughes. He's a candidate for the Assembly in Riverside. We're going to talk to him about his campaign. And this segment is brought to you by Cargo, cases and rugged gear outfitters in El Cajon. Go to cargostores.com. Check out everything they have to offer, or go to 423 Broadway in El Cajon. They have a fantastic store. If you need to protect your gear while you're on the go, look no further. Cargo has the perfect case for you. So if you need it protected and you want it customized, Cargo's the place to go. And if you use code GOR, you'll get 10% off on the website. Or if you mention Gun Owners Radio when you go into the store, you'll get 10% off as well. If you're a gun shop, they also do customized branded cases for your businesses too. So if you want to start selling cases with your logo on it, they're your store. Cargo's the best. Great products, great prices, and uncommonly good service. Check out Cases and Rugged Gear Outfitters. Okay, our guest, Charles Hughes, he's actually a Navy veteran. He's retired law enforcement. He's a small business owner, and he's a dedicated community leader. He's a very proud husband and father of 5 and the grandfather of 6. Charles understands the values that matter most to to families in California's 34th district. Charles, you're running for the Assembly. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
You bet, man. Thanks for coming on. Now, I was introduced to you by a very dedicated Second Amendment activist who was gushing about how you don't keep your Second Amendment views a secret. It's something you're very, very proud of.
Absolutely. In fact, I got my SIG right here in my back right here. So I love carrying a gun. I think everybody should be able to carry a gun. And that's our Second Amendment right. And it's not for hunting. So, yes, I'm a very strong Second Amendment advocate. I mean, this is what keeps everything safe in America. So it's
you're currently you're an elected official on a school board, right?
Yes, a couple years ago, I was elected to the Antelope Valley Union High School District. I served for president for the last 2 years. I was able to pass my gavel to a very brilliant young lady, a college professor. Thought I was done, and then the opportunity presented itself to run for the Assembly, which I've always wanted to do. Tom Lackey was terming out, and they tapped me and said, we need you to continue our great work up here, and I'm excited to do it.
And with your work history, with your resume of being a veteran, and then you were law enforcement, you run a small business, with being an elected official on a school board, why are you passionate about the Second Amendment? Why does it matter?
Well, first and foremost, crime is out of control. The citizens of California, they're at risk. And one of the things that we always talk about, you want to stop a bad guy with a gun, you have to find a good guy with a gun. And unfortunately, in California, they want to restrict the good people from having guns, and it's absolutely crazy. I'm very fortunate because I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I'm able to carry and protect my family. But every citizen of California should have that same right. Just because I was a law enforcement officer, I get that right. But we should extend that to all citizens. And what California is doing with the gun laws is absolutely insane, and it's a violation of our constitutional rights.
Do you think, like you talk about crime spiking, do you think is this a California specific problem? Like, what's causing it? What's happening in the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever? Why is crime increasing? Why do we live in a more dangerous environment than we did 20, 30, 40 years ago?
Well, I think the releasing of prisoners out of the prison system in California, and I'm all for rehabilitation. I'm for people getting a second chance. I'm really good with that, but they have to earn it. But the way California has been making these laws and just letting people out, is absolutely insane, and that's increased the risk to our citizens. I mean, you have to have common sense reform in the prison system, and I'm okay with that. But what we're doing is not common sense at all.
When you were law enforcement, what did you see as far as people? Actually, 2 questions. What did you see as far as law-abiding people and gun ownership? And the second question is, what types of crimes, are starting to be more and more common, I guess, are the 2 questions. So let's start with civilians. When you're as law enforcement, you saw civilians as far as gun ownership. What are your impressions?
Well, if you own a gun, if you have the ability to carry a gun, in which we're lacking in California, especially in the Los Angeles County area. It's really hard to protect yourself when you're being carjacked or the home invasions or, just being robbed on the streets. I mean, since, fortunately we got rid of Gascon, but that was an absolute failure of a district attorney, which wouldn't prosecute anything. It just emboldened the criminals to be more bold.
Gascon being the district attorney for LA County, and who he was
Absolutely.
extremely lenient on crime, and that he was finally voted out of office. Which, by the way, LA County, it's such a big county. If you're lenient on crime there, it affects everywhere around you. It doesn't just affect LA County. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree with that. It's absolutely true what you just stated.
Okay, so all right, so a person's ability to carry, extremely important as a civilian, as a law enforcement officer. You saw that during your career. What types of crimes? What's getting more and more prevalent? What types of crimes are complicating our communities and our neighborhoods?
Well, I just think that homelessness is really driving a lot of the crime too. That we're not addressing that adequately. I mean, we're throwing a lot of money at it, but that money's just going to places that's probably we need to look at. But it's just the releasing guys that should be in prison that haven't. We call it marinating. One of the greatest things that I was able to do, I ran a maximum security yard, and we called it the honor program. And the honor program was basically 1,000 men that pretty much were all lifers, and they were able to earn their way kind of to pardon or to commutations and stuff like that. But the recidivism rate of that yard is almost zero. It's absolutely incredible how those are the type of inmates that we let out that aren't committing any more crime. However, when you let inmates out that haven't learned their lesson or been rehabilitated, they get back out and they just create more crimes. And then you couple that with a district attorney like Gascon, they're just going to continue to prey on our citizens, and it's absolutely appalling. So the type of crimes are the robberies and the smash and grabs and the stuff that we've seen on TV, where they just go in and just rob stores and break glass, take anything they want. They go into shopping centers and fill up their basket and just leave with no consequences. So, it's just that's where we actually need the Second Amendment for all citizens.
And I think elected officials that are willing to stand up against it too. Right? So we don't have to have somebody. You know what I mean? So I don't want to. Look, I have a carry permit. I carry. I'm obviously a big believer in the Second Amendment. I never want to use it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I especially don't want to use it because of some weird, political philosophy that's making my community more dangerous. So I totally agree. Okay, so California's 34th district. That's what you're running for, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell us about that district. What's going on in that district? Why are you running as a person getting termed out? What's the makeup of the district? Give us a little lowdown on the district.
Well, it's an outstanding district. I've lived here for many, many years. I've served in this district. Tom Lackey's been our assemblyman for a long time. Tom Lackey is a sergeant. He was a sergeant in the California Highway Patrol. I call him in the Eagle Scout one of the best, cleanest politicians I've ever met in my life. That he's just has such high integrity, high moral, and people love him. I was honored by him saying that he'd want me to fill his shoes, and they're big shoes to fill. And I got to tell you, he's just an amazing guy. And I was honored. So it's going to be a tough fight. I think the district is part LA County, San Bernardino County. And the makeup is, luckily, it's a safe Republican seat, so we'll get good representation here from the Republicans. But yeah, I'm really excited about running in this district, and it's a great district, great people. But we're facing high crime, the cost of living, homelessness, all the basically stuff that pretty much the state's facing, the letting the criminals out, dealing with illegal immigration. And it's just we need people up in Sacramento with common sense approach, tackle these problems and get it done. So that's why I'm running. I just want to bring back common sense and assist my fellow legislators up there to pass some good common sense laws.
It sounds like you're definitely very, you have a big passion for the Second Amendment. So, as an assembly member, what would you be able to do to change policy or to impact the Second Amendment for your citizens there in your district?
First and foremost, we got to get Republicans not fighting Republicans that believe in Second Amendment. What we need to do is to find the Democratic seats where they're not really pro Second Amendment, and we've seen a lot of those. And we have to elect Republicans into those seats. I think that's what we need to do. But the thing is I think California is coming around. I mean, we're in the super minority. We need to change that. These crazy bills are coming up. I think the Republicans hold the line, even though we have the minority. You get to stop some crazy bills as much as you can, but of course some get through. So I think increasing Republican representation, and even finding our friends on the Democratic side that believe in Second Amendment and support, those ideas that we need to support the Second Amendment. So I mean, there's a lot of Democrats that are pro Second Amendment as well. We just got to make sure their voices are heard as well.
It's always interesting when people talk about that. Hey, there are a lot of pro Second Amendment Democrats, and I'm a big proponent of working with everybody: Democrats, Libertarians, Green Party. I don't care. I want everybody to cherish the Second Amendment like we do. But it's funny when that concept about working with Democrats and the Second Amendment comes up, half the room, shakes their head like, yeah, we need to do that, and the other half, kind of sticks their nose up in the air like, well, good luck with that. And it is difficult. Yeah. I think they've earned their reputation, though, particularly in California. I mean, it's not like this is out of the left field. I mean, they've done some people who have done atrocious things to the Second Amendment and gun owners are Democrats. Very, very
Absolutely.
few Republicans lately have been unfortunately doing much with the Second Amendment, whether it's good or bad, but at least they're not doing something bad. All the bad stuff is coming from somebody with a D by their name. Talk a little bit
Absolutely
more about
agree.
that. And by the way, earlier I said that you were in Riverside. I'm so sorry. Your district's in San Bernardino and LA. So talk a little bit about, San Bernardino, your district. What's it like with Republicans versus Democrat?
Well, fortunately, we're definitely, the registration is Republican, so I think we're in good hands in the district. However, the issues are the same. If we can control our district, but then, like we say, we have the minority in the assembly, so those state laws affect my district. We may fight against them, but if the Democrats and impose their will, they get to pass these crazy laws that we have to live with. But what we have to do is get out there, educate our citizens, educate them, because you got to look. And one of the big things I think that we need to do is really engage the Hispanic population, because watch Trump. Did you see Trump? He increased African Americans, he increased Latinos and Latinas. They're generally conservative, but their parents have always been voting Democrat, so they think that's the way to do it. So I think we really need to engage our Latinos and Latinas and talk conservative and liberal to issues to them. Then they're going to lean more conservative. Then we just got to get them into our party and register them into our party. And that's, I think, how we really change California.
There's definitely been an interesting development. Full disclosure, I've said it before. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not affiliated with any party at all. And I'm extremely proud of that fact. I've been affiliated with parties. I'm not anymore. And I think in this position with Gun Owners Radio and the position I play with the Second Amendment politics, I think not being affiliated is a good idea. That being said, what's interesting is, so I kind of look at it from the outside in, and from the outside in, what's interesting is being a Republican has kind of turned into the cool party. Whereas it used to be that, back in the 90s, if you were cool, you were a Democrat. They were kind of the cool party, where the, Republicans were kind of the stereotype was they were a bunch of nerds. And now it really truly feels like if you want to rebel, if you want to be, unique and you want to be your own person, you're a Republican. And the Democrats are kind of the hall monitors, I think that I didn't see that coming. I got to be honest. I really, truly didn't see that coming. But individual, and you're seeing a lot of people, if you look at, you brought up Trump, you're looking at some of his high-ranking cabinet members are former Democrats. One of them is a Kennedy, for God's sake, you know?
Absolutely.
So I think that this big tent idea, this inclusive idea, inclusivity, that used to be a hallmark of talking points anyway for Democrats, is now Republicans. They seem to be the ones that are really truly standing up for people. They're standing up for the every man and woman, and they kind of seem to be the cool party. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, one of the things too is my background when I was in the Department of Corrections as a lieutenant. I started as an officer, moved my way up to sergeant, then counselor, then lieutenant. I was also elected as the local association president. So, you know, everybody wants to get in law enforcement because they want to help out. Well, I didn't get to really see the people I get to help out, except for when my cops were not being treated fairly. So I stepped up and I fought for them as their president, and I moved all the way up, met long-term president of the associations here locally. Then I moved up to Sacramento with the California Correctional Peace Officers Association. So, you know, back in the day, unions were like, oh, they're evil, but it's really the type of unions. I mean, our type of union associations, the public sector. Bottom line is the trades. I mean, being in the school district, the trades, you know, getting kids that aren't going to college, because 10% of our kids go to college. We do a great job, but there's 90% of kids are left. What are they going to do? So we've really been advocating, you know, IBEW and the sheet metal workers and the plumbers. I mean, those are good mortgage paying jobs for our kids that choose not to go to college. But then for the Republicans, we have to embrace, you got to get that bigger tent, and that tent has to include these hardworking men and women, like you just said, that are coming into the Republican Party, that are been part of the Republican Party. So expanding that tent is another way that we're going to be rebuilding California, more of a conservative-leaning constituency.
There you go. I have a quick question for you. I'd like to kind of revisit back to something that you were just talking about just a bit ago. You mentioned kind of when appropriate, kind of joining hands across party lines. Is there anybody coming up in the ranks as far as other fellow persons running for office that you could see someone that should be someone that others in your district help to support as well? Other people that you can kind of say, hey, you know, let's team up, you know, let's work together, and let's look at these people as well and support them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a prime example, and I've said it a lot of times to a lot of people I've talked to. Is, you know, here we are. I have an opponent that's a Republican. I mean, we're going to raise a bunch of money, and I am raising a bunch of money. Unfortunately, that's the bad part of politics. It's a lot of money, but I look at it when I'm running against another Republican, I'm wasting that money. I should be going over to 80-40 and assisting my counterpart over there, trying to get elected and change a seat from a D to an R, and increase the numbers of Republicans so we can fight even harder on, like, a Second Amendment bill that they want to restrict our rights to do whatever. It seems like every session they're trying to reduce the Second Amendment rights we have. So I think that's what's really important, is we just got to kind of, the inner fighting's got to just find the best candidate find the most conservative guy that you can win with, and then don't fight each other and don't waste money, and get across California and help others to get up here with the conservative philosophy. Because I think California is conservative. I mean, I think if you really get out there, forget the D and the R, like you said, sir, it's what do we believe? And I mean, we all want, you know, we all want to be safe. We all want our kids to prosper. We all want them to get mortgage paying jobs. We want them to live next to us so we can enjoy the grandkids. So we're not traveling all, you know, to Texas or to Arizona to visit our grandkids. So, I mean, hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, perfect. So, okay, last question. I'm going to guess, with your law enforcement background, that your carry gun is a Glock. But what's your carry gun?
Okay, P365 6.
I was wrong.
I have found it to be the best carry gun I've ever carried. I have, of course, I have Glocks 27. All that good stuff. But it was probably one of the last guns. Well, actually, the last gun I got a nice 9mm. Well, I won't get into all that, but I got a really cool gun before I retired. 9mm might be pretty cool. But the gun I carry is a P365.
Nice. All right,
and it's the best gun.
Charles, awesome. Charles Hughes, candidate for the 34th district in San Bernardino, and then of course a little bit in LA. What's your website, and where can people find you to support you?
Absolutely. VoteCharlesHughes.com. VoteCharlesHughes.com. Read about me. Join the movement. We're building a good movement. We're going to make California great again. So at the end of the day, we're going to do this. We're going to be successful, and I just want to get up there, roll my sleeves up, do the hard work, and represent the constituents that I get to represent if I'm so lucky to win. So
All right, Charles.
I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for your listeners. Hey, to everybody, band together and let's protect our Second Amendment.
Fantastic message. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time, man.
Good luck.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
Hey, thanks for watching Gun Owners Radio. I hope you loved that clip. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and follow us on social media, and check out our website at gunownersradio.com.